Hello. Welcome back to the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Masonic while drinking an old fashioned. So, changing things up today. Normally, Brian just starts the lead, but
That's right.
here we go. I'm Russ.
And I'm Brian.
So, Brian, you always have a question or two for me. Sometimes
It's a little weird for me.
Yeah. So I tell you what, sometimes these questions have been relevant to what we're going to talk about. Sometimes they're just out of the blue sky. You just want to trick Russ.
That is
So it's Mess with Russ Day normally here at the podcast, but today,
that is true.
Brian, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
So let's change that. Have you ever been in politics? Have you ever held an elected position?
No.
So, with that being your answer, have you ever thought about it, or would you aspire to hold a political office and run for election? And if so, what would it be?
One time I thought it would be interesting, but with recent events over the last 6-8 years, I just feel like there's a lot of attacking of individuals and we've all got skeletons in our closet and there's nothing too crazy, but they folks have probably drummed some up. I've been running businesses for a long time, and somebody could pull up a disgruntled somebody here or there, but
as a dear friend of yours, I probably could come up with something, but we're
I think it would be
we're not.
I think it would be great, but I don't think the juice would be worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, you've got to do it because you really want to. And I don't know that I'd want to go big if I did something. At least governor.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the juice would be worth the squeeze.
When I was in high school, I met Bob Dole for the first time. And so for quite some time, I wanted to be a U.S. Senator.
But, he's a good role model.
He is a good role model.
And before you were a Mason. So.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, with that, talking about politicians and politics and whatnot, we've got a good friend of ours on today.
Heavy hitter.
Brother Dan Hawkins.
So come back. You do not want to miss this one. We're going to talk about his journey. Stay with us. Welcome to the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Freemasonry while drinking an old fashioned. I'm Brian.
And I'm Russ.
Russ, we always say we got a heavy hitter. We got something. We got this different thing. We kind of got we got a player in the mix.
We've got sort of a big dog here.
We got a big dog. Yeah. So you're going to introduce him first, and then I'm going to talk about why we need to speed this thing up. He's got things to do.
Yeah. So today we have our dear friend Dan Hawkins. So thank you for coming.
We're not going to tease who you are yet. We're going to talk about that later, but if you're seeing across the stream, yeah, you read it right. So, have you watched any of the episodes?
Yeah.
You have?
Yes.
I might have lost money on that.
I have. Actually, Russ sent me a...
Oh, he prepped you?
Yeah.
Because he's like, what is Bird putting me into?
That's been quite a while ago when you sent it. It was probably 3 months ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So, we have what we call our top 100 people that we want to talk to. And obviously you're in our top 100. We're closing out season 1 of our 52 episodes.
Wow.
So we thought it was really important to talk to you, just to kind of show all the different faces of Masonry that we have out there. So the first thing that we ask on the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast is we like to know more about the man than we do the Mason, right? So forget Masonry. Who is Dan Hawkins, the man?
Well, a lot of people out there would like to know that, and I've actually had a few of these where be able to sit down. There was a group up in Topeka that did a podcast here. It was back, I guess, last fall sometime.
Okay.
And it was really an interesting time. We had a lot of fun. I've been here in Kansas all of my life.
Where were you born?
Born in Attica, Kansas.
I'm in for Medicine Lodge. I saw that. I'm like, what?
Yep, Attica. Born in 1960, so that puts me.
Oh,
60.
don't tell your age now.
I'm
What's your mother's maiden name and your favorite password?
Puts me at 62, by the way.
I know one of your fraternity brothers. I do a lot of business with one of your fraternity brothers.
Which one?
Bob Baker.
Oh, Bob Baker. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We do a lot of business together.
Well, you don't want to talk to Bobby.
Don't tell his nickname.
You want me to tell you? It's Speedboat.
Oh, there we go. I'm going to ask him. I already know why. No, I didn't know why.
You already do? Okay. So, that was in the fraternity back in college days. But,
Attica, then you went to
where?
where?
In Attica, and we lived in Spivey for, you know where Spivey's at?
I do.
Most people don't know where Spivey's at. Lived in Spivey until I was about 10 years old, and then we moved to Hutch.
Okay.
Dad worked in the natural gas industry and got a transfer, and we moved to Hutch and went to school there until, all the way through high school, and then Hutch JUCO, and then on to Emporia State, where I met Bob.
Okay.
Bob Baker. So Bob and I were roommates in college.
I knew you were.
Yeah. So I could tell
Russ,
a
you
lot.
didn't know this story, did you?
No,
I can tell a lot about him.
No, this is not what this is about.
But he can tell a lot about me, so we don't need any of that
This is not what this is about, boys and girls. So, Emporia State, you graduate from Emporia State. What was your focus?
Size business major, marketing. And out of college then, I went to work for Hormel, George A. Hormel and Company up in Fremont, Nebraska, remember?
Yeah.
And I was a spam canning foreman. I know all about spam.
Wow.
So did that, then moved back to Wichita.
So you know how to fix all the damn emails that I get.
That's not the same type of spam.
Sorry about that.
Wow. I've even been to the Spam Museum up in Minnesota.
In Austin, Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so Spam's got a huge following. It's actually a very good product, great product.
Okay.
Then I came back to Wichita, still working for Hormel, and I was at Dole Foods here in Wichita.
Okay.
And I supervised the bacon slice department, so I know all about slicing bacon.
Okay.
And then I left there and went to work with my dad for about 4 years, but we didn't get along very well. And
Family and work.
Yeah, it's tough. That's tough.
It's tough.
And any time you see family that do make it work, it's great.
Yeah.
Actually, my daughter works with me and has for 10 years now, so we make it work pretty good. But
Okay.
Dad and I didn't make it work so well.
Okay.
And then went into the insurance business. I've been an employee benefits insurance agent for 20-some years, 27 years now. And then getting into my later years here. In 13, I decided to run for state representative.
We're going to come back to that.
Okay. We're up to that point now.
So you're married? Not married?
Yeah, no, I'm married to Diane. Have two daughters and one grandson, and hopefully here in November I'll have a granddaughter.
Nice. How long have you been married?
Oh, jeez.
Diane, are you watching? He doesn't
37. They'll be 38 years in July.
There we go.
I'm 28 in July.
38 in July.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're a hot mess.
It is. I don't want to ask you, Russ. I'm going to be nice.
I had to think for just a second.
I like it.
And 2 daughters.
2 daughters, Hannah and Haley.
There we go.
Yep, Hannah and Haley. And then Hannah has a 4-year-old son, so I got a grandson. His name's Gavin, but I call him Rocky.
He has a nickname. So I have a grandson. I never call him by his real name. And Russ met him, and he's like, what is his? I call him the Prince.
Yeah.
And Russ got to meet the most alpha 2-year-old. He grabs Russ' hands, brings him over, and sets him down.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Yeah. He is
Played cars and all that stuff.
Yeah. He's a different breed.
So now we're to the question of how did you get into politics?
Well, actually, it was clear back in 2006. I didn't start until 13. I ran in 12, won, and started in 13. But it was back in 2006 when then Governor Kathleen Sebelius was deciding to bring universal health care to Kansas. Mm-hmm. And I got involved with writing my representative and my senator. Back then it was Gene Solentrop was my rep. Senator Donovan
Yeah.
Les Donovan?
Les Donovan was my senator. And so I wrote him and talked to him and emailed him and really got involved. Well, the great thing is universal health care never came to Kansas at that time when she was trying. Of course, then she leaves and goes to Washington and screws the whole world up. But
Well, I mean, what a great website she put together.
oh yeah, it took forever to get that thing to
You
work
guys
right.
see Russ get tight-lipped over there?
I'm just watching. I'm just listening.
So
Just
the
listening.
trigger. So the trigger for what took you into politics was you want to change.
Yeah, well, I didn't want universal health care.
Right.
I was fighting against it, and so then I told Diane, I said, because I really enjoyed meeting them and conversing with them and really getting involved with that issue. So if Solentrop ever retires, I think I'll take a stab at it. Well, he didn't retire. In 12 was the redistricting 10 years ago from last year.
That's right.
And that district was open. He got moved into a different district. And so I said, I'm running.
I like it.
And so I went out and worked really hard. It was a hot summer. Oh, it was a brutal summer. But I won my primary, and it was a big primary. And then I won the general against a Democrat who I really liked. He was a great guy. We stayed in contact for a long time.
Yeah.
He was an old man. His name is John Willoughby. I don't think he's alive anymore.
Yeah.
But I would go by and pick him up and take him to forums.
Oh, I love it. But you know what? I think party lines are one thing, but being a human.
Oh yeah, he
It's
was
a
a
whole
really
thing.
nice guy. We got along great. But then I go up there and get involved in the politics. And that first year, I thought it was the worst place in the world. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
I didn't know if I'd stay. Remember me
Oh,
talking?
yeah.
There was times when
Well, I remember.
We're going to get in there about how we
Yeah.
feel you've moved the needle. So
Yeah.
off script. Would Russ be a better politician than me because I'm a little douchey?
probably.
Okay, fair. All right. So I knew the answer. So I know enough to be
Yes.
dangerous about politics. So I know enough. So when you came into the house, what was your role?
So
Initially.
Yeah. So initially, as your first, actually several years, you're just a member. You really don't get any leadership posts or anything, seats. You're just one of 125 in the house. And really, that first year, really all you're doing is really trying to understand what's going on. Because that's not what people think.
Right.
People think they know politics. They really don't have a clue what we do up there. And you have to be there for a while to understand it. That first year was a brutal year. I hated it. I thought it was the worst place in the world. I didn't, and really it's because you have to really learn the process before you can really start being effective. And so the first year, I always tell all of the freshmen who are coming in,
Okay.
sit there, be quiet, and learn. Watch. Understand what's going on. The next year, start building those coalitions, building those friendships that are going to last your career.
Do you think some of the new guys, when you say that, say,
Yeah, they think I'm crazy.
like, what do you mean? You're
Yeah.
telling me to shut up. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm elected. I'm here to do the right. Everyone has this pipe dream of, I'm going to come here and move the needle, but sometimes
That's
you
right.
have to learn the ropes.
Yeah, you have to, so I say there's 100 ways for a bill to die, and actually there's probably more than 100. And if you don't even understand how a bill moves through the process and how you can get it out of those potholes that they fall into,
Right.
then you can't get anything done. And so very seldom you see a rep come in their first year and be able to advance a bill from start to finish and get it done. Once in a while it happens, but
Okay.
not very often.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
So,
So, you are the current Speaker of the House.
Yes.
State of Kansas.
Yeah. Who would have
So-
ever thought?
Yeah, who'd have thought?
we would have. We believe
Yes.
in you. We believe in you.
Right.
Tell us about that. What does the Speaker do?
Well, the Speaker actually, the House of Representatives is set up kind of like a corporation. The Speaker would be like the CEO of the body. And then you have a majority leader and a Speaker pro tem who are like your vice presidents. And then you have a whole set of chairmen underneath there. And those would be like your managers and then your vice chairs,
spokesman?
assistant managers. Huh?
Are you the spokesman, essentially?
I would say, so my job is really to keep the train on the track.
Okay.
So what the speaker does, number one, the speaker is probably undoubtedly the most powerful person in the legislature. So the speaker decides who the chairman of each committee is going to be. I decide what committees will happen.
It's like a master of a lodge.
It is. Mm-hmm. It absolutely is, and it's kind of set up the same way.
Right.
I decide what committees are going to happen, what the standing committees are going to be. I decide who those chairmen are going to be of each of those committees, who the vice chairs are, who the members will be of each committee. I make the decision of where they sit on the House floor. I make the decision what offices they get and where they park. So I literally control everything that has to do with anything with the House of Representatives. So it's a big job. There's a lot of responsibility.
You would park in the next county.
You might be parking outside instead of in the parking garage.
Don't old school past masters gang up on me. That doesn't work. That doesn't work.
And we would probably, Brian, we would probably put you in the basement office.
You know what? It's cooler. I'm easily distracted. My office in our building, windows all over. They were cutting windows in the concrete. I chose not to have windows cut in because I'm easily distracted. I'm like, what's the show word? It's like squirrel.
Squirrel.
Yeah. I don't know what that is. So as I digress and have, I'm a little self-deprecating. So we talked a little bit about you. Walk us through your Masonic journey. So give us some highlights. We'll deep dive later. When did you join? Walk us through and where you went.
That's a great question. So my dad was a Mason, and he was in the Scottish Rite. Never was a Shriner.
Okay.
And he got his KCCH in the Scottish Rite. But he belonged to a little bitty lodge in Attica, Kansas. It was a very small lodge. Okay. And so Dad took me in. I believe it was 1988. And when I went in, you literally had to prove up before you advance to the next degree. So I had to learn the question and answers before I could go to the second degree. And literally by the time in that lodge, by the time I finished, getting my third degree,
Mason.
I had my B card.
Right.
I literally had learned it all because I can remember I went and took my first degree. It was it would have been probably in November because we went deer hunting for a week after that, and after each morning we'd get finished deer hunting, then we'd go back to the camper.
Pull the cipher out.
We did, and Dad had one of those bastard books.
The single word ones, right? Of the single letters?
No, I did. I had the single letter, but he had one of those bastard books.
Okay.
The one that, really had a lot of it wrote out.
Right.
Now, it wasn't totally wrote out. You still had to understand it. But,
sure.
But he did. He taught me the question and answers. And so the first 3 degrees, my dad taught me everything.
Love it. Love it. So you went from, so now you're a Master Mason. Where do you go next?
Yeah, so then I think it was in 89. So once I got my Master Mason, then, my dad said, hey, you live in Wichita. You need to go join Albert Pike. And so, I walked into Albert Pike and said, I want to join. And so we did I guess at that time we called it a plural membership because you had a membership with 2 lodges.
Yeah.
And of course, as you guys know, back then you go to Albert Pike, you immediately go into the study club and you start learning.
Yeah. We always talk about that in our kind of our yes. You got to go through and prove that you're even worthy of making it on as a Tyler Maybe.
That's right. But that's where we all became very good friends.
That's where you become pals. Yeah.
That's where you met. So
we were there.
It's the minor leagues.
Yeah. Yes. Back Terry Kirstein was alive back then, and Dennis Roberts, and Scott Kaler was really
Talbot
involved.
Boys
the Talbot Boys, Russ, and we all went through the line together.
Yeah.
So I became.
Who put you on the line at Pike?
Oh man.
The first tough question. Come on, think this through.
The guy that put me in got mad and left. If you remember when we brought the first
Easy.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, when So who was that? That was
He was
I can't
he would have
remember.
been he would have been before Macklemore.
Macklemore was 92.
Yeah, because I went in 91. So I started in the line in 91. So whoever was the master in 91.
So who would have been on the line that was sort of your mentor then? Who was?
Well, Hooter was on the line at that time.
John Hooter Myers.
Um,
Because Gene Payne was 85. Hooter was
Scott.
after him.
Scott would have been on there. Van would have been on there.
Van was 92.
Van was, he was the senior warden when I started.
Yes, so
Okay.
yeah. I don't know why I know when Van was master.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, but anyway, he got mad and left.
Right, because
Yeah.
of politics inside the lodge.
Right,
Yes.
right, and never came back. I'm trying to think of who else would have been. Gene Payne would have been on the line at that time.
No,
No.
Gene was
Gene would have
85.
already.
He's a
Gene
past
would have already.
master.
No, but he was there all the time.
Right.
He wouldn't have been on the line.
Yeah. Jared Cole would have been there.
Yeah, but he would have. He
would have been there.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah.
I can't think. I'm gonna have to look back.
Yeah,
We're going
we
to
have-
come back around.
Well,
We're
and
going to test
if you
your
remember
memory
back
again.
then, we had the three apostles, those three old guys that sat on the side that literally, they actually ran things a lot of times.
Well,
Especially when it came to rework.
Right.
Green,
Yeah.
Dean Osborne proteges. We're going to talk
No.
about that later.
No, the
No.
trustees.
No, they
Or
weren't
the-
trustees. They were just old guys that were there for every degree work that was done. You remember them?
No, so
That was
think
pre-you.
that was pre me.
Okay.
So
okay.
yeah, because
When
I
were
came
you
in
master?
at
What
the-
year?
97.
Okay, you were, because he was 04.
Yeah,
Right. 97.
we got to know each other once you were a trustee.
And we're going to talk about that.
And that's how
Yeah.
we
gonna
Well,
talk
and
about
Terry
that.
Kirstein would have been in the line at that time.
Yep.
Because he
Because
was.
the Talbot boys were 99.
Terry would have been 98. Terry
Yeah,
Kirstein would have been 98.
Because Bob was 99.
Was Scott Wright before me?
Man, I don't
I
remember.
think Scott may have
Maybe.
been directly before me.
Yeah.
Because 2001 was Roberts.
Yeah.
Merle was 2000. We digress. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what other independent bodies are you involved in?
Scottish Wright only.
Never
Yeah.
Shrine? Never York Rite?
Well, I did go through the York Rite, but I never did become involved and finally
Yeah.
dropped out.
What? Friday meetings, man. Friday
Yeah,
meetings.
yeah.
Yeah,
And-
same thing.
And then I did belong to the Shrine for, I don't know, maybe 10 years. And I
This
haven't,
wasn't your thing.
nah.
Yeah.
I never got involved in any of the
Units or
any of
clubs.
the units.
Yeah.
I really didn't have time.
I get it.
You know,
I get it.
so-
Yeah. Everyone's got a thing.
There was and then during that time of going through the line, I was also really involved in the Scottish Rite in the degree work. Loved that.
Okay.
And then Terry Kirstein and I got crossways with the Scottish Rite. They kind of demanded us do something, and we just said no, and we left.
Yeah.
And
That was a prequel
yeah,
for us firing shots.
yeah.
So you were a trustee when Pike actually left the Scottish Rite.
Yes.
When we
Yes.
found a different home. So
Yes.
walk through what you remember of that, because
So-
we've talked about it several times. But
Yeah.
you were a vital
I
part.
was actually
you were the guy.
I was actually the chairman of the trustees when
Yeah.
it happened. Well, it costs a lot to be at the Scottish Rite. I mean that. We had Albert Pike really kind of owned that space. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, the history, we'd actually put a sum of money into the space we had, and so it was really kind of like ours. And we paid a small rent, but it wasn't anything that amounted to much. It was really more of just a token gesture each year, and I don't remember who the
Good old days, though. Membership
Yeah.
was high everywhere.
Oh, membership was high, but I don't remember who the personal rep was of the Scottish Rite at the time. He was a real estate guy. Remember him?
Wasn't Arnold, was it?
Arnold.
It was Arnold.
Yeah, Arnold was the one that demanded that we pay up a lot.
Was this like 85 grand for the elevator?
Well, the elevator
Well,
was
that was later in the.
the elevator was getting bad, but
And Christie was another.
he was, yeah. But that kind of percolated over there for quite a while, and finally, with what they wanted from us, it was just crazy for us to stay. And we knew we were going to have
Well, economically, it wasn't sound either. It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't a solid decision.
no. I mean, economically, it was bad for us to stay.
Russ always says that would have put Pike about 2 years from bankruptcy.
It would have. It would have. And literally, we decided to spend some money, move to the Masonic home. The Masonic home was going great guns still at that point in time. We were able to remodel that area and make us a nice little lodge office. And of course, we had a change in our leadership as far as our full-time staff.
Sure.
Which was pretty important piece of that.
There was a lot of output there.
Yeah, there was, and that was a tough time. I mean, that was a pretty difficult time, and I don't want to really get into that because
and we talked about that a lot with Russ. That the year he was mastering, there was some. Russ always says, "Hey, that was the year it happened, but man, the support system there, it was all hands on deck to preserve what was in the best interest of Pike."
Quite frankly, I think. And I haven't talked to Russ for quite a while about the lodge finances, but truly that saved us and actually put us on a path to really become sustainable.
Yeah. Well, as a trustee, we're real good.
Well, I've heard about it. Yeah. I've heard that the trustees have done very well. I feel like maybe that I had a small part just in starting it.
Sure,
but then it took guys like you to continue it, and you've done a fine job.
Investment policies were set in. I mean, there's a lot of things about just behind the scenes that officers don't even know about.
Oh, absolutely.
There's like, hey, do I have money to do this?
Yeah.
What's your budget say?
Yeah.
I will say, Dan, you were one of the pivotal points because you helped sort of guide the right direction at the right time. And there were a lot of players in that, but you helped to make sure that the right ship was going the right direction at the right time.
And Garrison came in the mix and said, what? I know this could get messy. I'm going to sign up for a year.
And he came in, and there was just a lot of guys doing a lot of good things that today Albert Pike is here because...
Everything in the best interest of the lodge.
Yes.
As Masons, we have a lot of people that watch this, but the Masons know... Whenever you vote for anything, it's always supposed to be in the best interest of Masonry, and sometimes it's just your lodge.
But sometimes you have to go through hard times.
And the great thing back then is we had a really cohesive group.
Mm-hmm.
The not just the trustees, but the lodge leadership were all on board.
The communication lines were open, right?
They were.
Yeah.
They were. We did a lot more, and that's something I've kind of carried on through my...
Has this prepped you not for where you're at now?
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I would say, I've said a lot of times, you learn when you're in a Masonic or any fraternal organization, especially when you're in a leadership position, you're going to take some arrows. You're going to take. There are going to be some people.
Some deserved, some not so much.
That's right.
Right.
But you have to lead, and sometimes you have to make tough decisions. And we made some tough decisions back there, and they proved to be good decisions. Now, of course, who knew that the Masonic home was going to close? I mean, that's another.
Everything's got a life cycle, I suppose,
that's true.
right?
That's true.
It does.
So, all right. So you've heard the would you rather questions. It's would you rather do this or that? There's no other options. So here's a would you rather.
Oh boy.
Would you rather have all of your top to bottom of your line officers have at least one proficiency card, or all of your line officers be inspirational, motivated leaders and no proficiency cards? You can't have a mixture of both, one or the other. Either they're all proficient or they're all inspirational, motivational leaders at your lodge.
Man,
It's our new tough question.
that is a tough one.
At the lodge.
So you can't have just one?
No, you can't. No, because that's the right answer. Is in the middle, right? So you have. This is a would you rather. All B card, A card proficiency holders, or motivational and inspirational leaders. What do you want?
Well, I think today you'd have to have the motivational, inspirational leaders.
The tide has turned.
And I think the reason why is because much like me, my time is very limited. And finding people that want to belong and to contribute to an organization is just hard today.
Being a member's easy, right?
Oh yeah,
Sign a check.
That's right.
Right.
But you really have to work hard to find people that are going to be a part of a continual
Put skin in the game and
leadership.
take the arrows
Yeah.
if they need
Oh,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, fair.
So I think for not just the Masonic Lodge, but virtually any of the fraternal organizations to survive, we have to change, and change is hard for us, probably more so than some other organizations because of our our ritual and stuff. But you got to have people with ritual too. You have to have
such a
people.
balance. It's an unfair question, and it's loaded because it's unfair.
Yeah.
So,
But it has led to a lot of good discussion.
It has.
With certain people. So, one of these days you may be done with politics. You may not. You may be going farther. But, within Masonry, you're a member of Albert Pike. You're a past master. You were a trustee. Do you have any aspirations at all to do anything state level at the Grand Lodge level someday?
I think once I get done with all the politics, probably I'll have time again to where I could do something like that.
I wouldn't have guessed that. Would you have?
I would not have.
Okay.
So.
You wouldn't have?
No. It's
That's awesome.
Hey, it's great because
No,
the snapshots we get of you, your vibe is interesting. So those who don't know that my wife is our fluffer as folks kind of come in and we get, and I went up to, so Danny doesn't drink, so that's tea. So I went up to get some tea, came down, and my wife said, "That guy is so cool." So think that through. So think that through.
Passed the Heidi test.
No, listen, my wife is extra, folks. She is a lot. And so anyway, so that's what you got there. So you got, I don't know if that's a good endorsement, but you got that endorsement. I mean, it's not going to get you elected, that's for sure.
Well, this area where you live used to be a part of my district. It is no longer.
Is it Delperdangs?
I would imagine it's Delperdang.
Yeah, I bet it is.
I lost this area and I got New Market Square.
So I used to be 2 miles west at 29th and Tyler. So
29th and Tyler would have been. You were on the east side of Tyler, though.
east side.
Yeah, I had the west side of Tyler.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's your time at Albert Pike. You've seen a lot of Masons.
A lot of masters.
A lot of masters. In that period of time, which one moved the needle for you? Which one did you go, oh yeah, he really...
Since you've been in.
Yeah.
I would say back during the time, I probably looked up to Gene Payne and Hooter the most.
Yeah.
Those were the guys.
They were running buddies too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Gene was very involved and he was always there to ask questions of. There were some others. Van McLemore was really good. Scott Kaler's done he did a great job.
He's still a solid dude. Yeah. Shout out to Scott Kaler.
Scott was kind of he was in the line. He was ahead of me one.
Well, he ended up taking over secretary spot once that changeover happened.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Gene was one of those that he had my back the year I was master, and he'd been a past master a lot.
When I was on the line, we would have our meetings and we would go out afterwards and have fellowship. Gene could hang with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
It was
really
amazing. It was amazing. So we're going to switch this up. How many Kansas governors were known Freemasons?
Well, I don't know.
What's your guess? Known.
4.
Ooh, close. 5.
5?
Arn, Avery, Caper, Carlson, Poland.
There you go.
Interesting.
I had to do some extra research today.
I guess you did.
So on the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast, we always have the most important question of the day we save to the end.
Oh, boy.
One must go. Okay? So on the screen, you'll see tacos, burger, pizza, and wings. One must go forever. It was never invented. Which one goes and why? I already know what Russ's answer is, and it annoys me. What's your answer? Never invented. Tacos, burgers, pizza, wings.
I am going to say tacos.
Really?
Yeah.
Tacos.
I love pizza. Pizza is a category all of its own. You can eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, I'll go with you on that.
Chicken wings, you can't do away with chicken wings. And burger is American.
Russ hates chicken wings.
Really?
They're too small. They're too much work.
No,
It's
I love
disgusting.
chicken wings.
But I don't know what I'd get rid of.
And the hamburger is American. That's the most American thing there is. Although pizza was invented.
I gotta tell you, I might get rid of tacos too.
So, speaking of chicken, the other day I went to a very good fried chicken place here in town.
Okay.
My aunt came.
What's the color
town.
scheme? Orange or red?
Red.
Okay.
Red and white.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was just eating me some chicken and just grease. And it was just fantastic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sometimes chicken's fried chicken.
No, that's
wings,
different than wings.
yeah,
but wings are so.
yeah.
I'm on a wings kick for some reason.
Yeah,
Well,
you must be.
You made me pick one, and quite frankly, I'm not a huge taco fan. Is the reason why. Now, I love Mexican, but I just never did love the crunchy taco. Now, give me fajitas out there.
Okay.
Enchiladas, burritos, all that other. I love Mexican.
Well, speaking of which, tomorrow we have a past masters event at Los Cocos.
One of my favorite restaurants. I go there probably more than any
13th
place.
and Tyler. So
Yeah. What time?
It's at 5:45. It's past masters thing.
I might be back in time.
All right. Well,
I
if
have
not,
to be there.
If not, thanks for watching the Old Fashion Masonic
I'm gonna
Podcast. Cheers. And again, Danny's not drinking.
Yeah, it's iced
Cheers.
tea.